Alright, so you can't convince me that Glen Powell and Adria Arjona didn't fall a little bit in love with each other when making this movie, because their chemistry in some of these scenes, woohoo! It's time to talk about Hitman. What's up, guys? I'm Sully, and today we're talking about the brand new rom-com on Netflix that's also kind of a true crime story, Hitman. All you need to know about this one is that the story goes like this. A professor moonlighting as a hitman of sorts for his local police department descends into dangerous and dubious territory when he finds himself attracted to a woman who enlists his services. So this is definitely a movie that I've been looking forward to for a long time now, especially after hearing how much people enjoyed themselves with it as it made its way through the festival circuit, but even more so because, let's be honest, it's been a long time since we've gotten a really solid comedy. In the mid-2000s, they were absolutely cranking them out, hit after hit. But since then, I don't think there's a single genre that's been on life support more. But luckily for us, the man behind the camera this time around, Richard Linklater, has a resume that speaks for itself when it comes to these types of films. Dazed and Confused, Everybody Wants Some, Bernie, and one of my personal favorite comedies of all time, School of Rock, are just a few of the various feathers this guy has in his cap. Pair all of that with a wacky, kind of true story about a fake hitman and the star power of Glen Powell, and it looks like you've got an easy winning combination on your hands. Well, after finally seeing the film for myself on the big screen, it is an absolute tragedy that Netflix isn't doing a wide theatrical release for this one, because I'm happy to say that it is a slick and entertaining crowd pleaser of a movie. So much of a film like this one hinges on the charisma and chemistry of our two leads, and thankfully they're both more than up to the task here. Glen Powell can pretty much use this film as an audition tape for any future project he wants to be a part of, because he gets the chance to play so many different characters while pretending to be a fake hitman in this movie. You can tell he's having an absolute blast with all of the different costumes and accents, and even though the vast majority of it is played for comedic effect, it's actually kind of a decent way of showing off his acting range a bit. Sure, maybe you need to suspend your disbelief a little bit when it comes to the fact that somebody that looks like him probably wouldn't live alone with two cats and have trouble finding a girlfriend, but something's gotta give, right? All I know is that he pretty much solidifies himself as the next big movie star with this role. I mean, all you have to do is look at the guy to realize that. Then you have Adria Arjona, who completes the lead duo, and it's honestly so nice seeing her in worthy projects recently, because I seriously think the first time I was introduced to her was in everyone's favorite Best Picture snub, Morbius. But she does a good job challenging Glen Powell's character and keeping him on his toes, and probably most importantly, the two of them are just really entertaining together. You're not going to be able to take your eyes off of them. They're the fun, sexy, and spontaneous couple that you wish you were a part of. Just ignore the whole criminal activity part, obviously. Now, something else I feel like you should know before sitting down to watch this one is that even though it's called Hitman, it's not some kind of action-filled blockbuster. Sure, this guy gets dragged into the world of hired killers and completely finds himself out of his element, but at its core, it's much more of a snappy and stylish romantic comedy about this unlikely pair. There are definitely moments of high tension when it comes to some of the situations these characters find themselves in, but don't expect there to be any wild John Wick gun fu shit going on here. It's also not really a beautiful looking movie. It kind of comes off as cheap in a couple of areas, but it's nothing that will ruin your experience with it because the film's bread and butter is really its dialogue. Richard Linklater and Glen Powell actually wrote the script together after taking inspiration from the true story about a man that pretended to be a hired assassin to help the cops with sting operations. They clearly have a good handle on how to make movie dialogue between characters feel authentic and exciting, which has always been a really strong suit of Richard Linklater's movies in the past, and thankfully that's no different here. I feel like audiences nowadays are so quick to catch on if the comedy within a script flows effortlessly, or if it feels too over-manufactured and forced. Luckily, they strike the sweet spot here. Maybe a bit or two was repeated too often, but for the most part, I was impressed when it came to that aspect. I will say though, when it's all said and done, I think the conclusion they decided to go with took some conveniences to quickly wrap everything up with a bow and maybe asks the audience to overlook too much to fully enjoy its ending. But at the end of the day, it really still is such a likable film. Overall, guys, Hitman is one of those movies that sets out to do a few different things and it ends up doing them very well. It's funny, it's sexy, it's exciting. It's the kind of film that shouldn't be watched by yourself. Big date coming up or want to have some friends over the house, this is the perfect new film to have on when that happens. I don't know that it necessarily brings anything that new to the table, and it kind of stumbles with its ending, but the chemistry between the leads is great, the comedy really works, and the story will keep you hooked the entire way through. Glen Powell, welcome to the big leagues, my friend. Hitman gets a Sully score of 3.5 stars. So that's my review for Netflix's crime-adjacent romantic comedy. What do you think is the best rom-com you've seen in 2024? My vote would probably have to be for this or Lisa Frankenstein, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.